Thanks for listening to the Swearing In podcast, where you'll hear the origin stories of those who chose to serve. So ground your gear, take a seat, and listen up. The Swearing In podcast starts right now.
I'm an Air Force Airman.
I'm an Air Force Airman.
Just a falling from the sky.
Just a falling from the sky.
I'm an Air Force Airman.
I'm an Air Force Airman.
Just a falling from the sky.
Just a falling from the sky.
You better get out of my way now.
So you better get out of my way now.
Before I fall all over you.
Before I fall all over you.
With just a little,
Hey!
a little rock and roll.
Just a little.
Woo!
Hello and welcome to everyone listening out there. This is the Swearing In podcast, and I am your host, Marty Smith. Today, my guest is former Air Force A1C Shelley Perez. Shelley grew up in Tampa, Florida. Upon graduating high school in 1986, she went to work for GTE Phone Company. After a few years and wanting to try something different, she joined the Air Force. In 1989, she swore in at the St. Petersburg MEPS station and went off to basic training as an ADR Specialist. Her tech school was at Lowry Air Force Base, Colorado, and her first assignment was to Upper Heyford, England, with the 55th Fighter Squadron. A1C Perez exited active duty in 1991. Now, this concludes your pre-brief on A1C Shelley Perez, so let's get on with the interview. Joining me today is former Air Force A1C Shelley Perez. Shelley, thanks for taking the time and thanks for letting me get your story today.
My pleasure.
So where did you grow up, Shelley?
Tampa, Florida.
Graduated when?
1986.
So what was the plan at graduation? Did you join right after you graduated?
I did not. I actually worked for the phone company and had a couple girlfriends, lived with them, and there was no plan. There was just figuring it out.
What was it? What phone company was it?
GTE at the time.
GTE. Wow.
Yes, that's how long ago that was.
And you were just working out of Tampa?
I was just figuring it out.
So how many years did you do that for?
Probably 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did the military start being an option?
It came about, honestly, because I needed to change my situation at the time. A lot of partying, a lot of friends, a lot of in and out, and just needed something more.
That's a familiar story if you listen to all the podcasts. Yeah. But what, your brother was in, right?
My brother, my other stepbrother, my stepfather, a lot of family members in.
Did they come and talk to you and go, hey, why don't you try military?
No, not really. But I had always followed them, really interested in what they did and all the places they got to visit and just everything about it.
Do you remember what put the idea in your head to go, maybe I could join?
No, other than I knew there was no way to get out of here on my own.
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to go and see and do and didn't know a quicker, easier way to do it.
Yeah, it's not easy when you're looking around. It's like, hey, what company will send me overseas? It's like, zero,
and
none.
That's my wish list. That was the very first thing. I said anything overseas. That's all I wanted. So
how did you do it? Did you go down to the recruiters?
I did. I went down to a place here in Brandon and I went to them, talked. I think I went back like 3 or 4 times until I convinced myself I could do this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It wasn't let's go gung ho.
Yeah.
It took a little bit. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not motivated by you want to kill terrorists. You're motivated by different things. And so that gives you a little apprehension when they first start laying it out for you, I guess.
Yeah, it did.
Was it always Air Force that you were looking at?
It was I won't say yes. I actually considered Army as well.
Okay.
But it was a lot of Air Force because I had so many family members in it.
Sure. And it's amazing how much of a difference a recruiter can make when they're all just like lined up against the wall. It's like, which four do I want to talk to? You know,
I don't remember his name because we're going back some time, but I think that really did make a difference because he told me because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and he kind of helped me in that field.
So did you take the ASVAB or did you sign the contract and then go take the ASVAB?
I took the ASVAB.
How'd you do?
I did good.
Yeah?
It was pretty easy. It's a lot of common sense, I think.
I don't think your brother Eric had the same sentiment.
No.
Of course, he was an Air Force cop, so you know that kind of tells you what it is, right? Okay, so now he's going to offer you some kind of job, right?
Right.
What was he putting in front of you?
Everything from cook to military police. I came across the job myself and questioned him about it because he kind of put lists out there and here are some categories. And I saw this one and really got intrigued. Well,
of course. And they're always motivated by whatever recruiting command tells them, hey, we need these jobs filled, so push these jobs.
Yeah.
And fortunately, you were a little bit older, a little bit smarter to go, hey, I think I don't want the first thing that you're pushing at me. I want to get something else.
Yeah, I was about 21 at this point. I had a little bit of experience.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so where'd you swear in at then?
In St. Pete.
Oh, wow.
St. Pete.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's right there, right?
Yeah.
Is that where you went to MEPS too?
Yes. Yeah.
And did you do a contract with a guaranteed job?
Yes, I did.
And that job was armament delivery and recovery?
It was listed as an ADR Specialist, yes.
Oh my God. What intrigued you about that job?
Well, when I found out that not only I got to deal with film and photography and base photography, I got to go and deal with the F-111s and meet the pilots and everything about that was interesting to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So how long before you went off to basic? Were you a delayed entry or?
I was. I actually went to basic right away, but I was not in uniform. I was there. I guess they called us rainbows at the time. And I was there in civilian clothes on another flight. God, probably 2-3 weeks early.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I got to sit there and grunt through that until my flight got there. And then I got to join.
Oh, that's why you're doing all the busy work.
That's where you get to do.
So what year did you swear in then? Like 80? 88?
No. I signed in probably 89.
Okay.
The beginning of 89. Yeah. I don't know exactly. It's been a while.
Where was your MEPS at? It was at St. Pete, right? Did they put you up overnight?
No, because it's like 30 minutes from my mom's
house. So you get to go home.
Yeah, I could drive home.
So what did your parents say when you got back? Or were they surprised by it? Or had they already known you were talking about it?
No, my mother pretty much knew I was thinking about it. And she thought it was a good idea to get away from the friends.
Oh yeah.
She wasn't really keen at me leaving, but yeah. She was excited.
Bad influences you got to get away from. Into a whole bunch of other bad influences, probably.
Yeah.
All right. So you're off to basic. They fly you out there?
They do.
And you stayed for 3 weeks? Oh.
I want to say at least 2. I don't remember exactly, but I remember it feeling like it was a very long time.
Either way, that's the lowest of the low. You don't even have a flight yet.
You don't. And you're walking around in civilian clothes and your only name is Rainbow and you really have no purpose in life. And you're like, why am I here? I hope this gets better.
Had you ever been to Texas before?
Never.
What part of the year did you go?
It was hot.
Oh.
It was getting hotter because the nights were cold. So it had maybe early, maybe
maybe
March.
the spring, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, had to be getting time changing, I guess.
So obviously you had your brothers. Anybody prep you for what you were going to see in basic?
No.
No?
My brother was in finding his own way, so he wasn't readily available to be questioned.
Oh man. What'd you think? I mean, walking in.
I didn't fit in right away.
Yeah.
Very opinionated, very loud, very strong-willed, but I found my place quickly and quietly in the car.
Oh, you're one of those women.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of the people who go in, though, you know?
I think I had a leg up because I was a little more athletic.
Oh, yeah?
As far as, yeah, we had quite a few girls that just couldn't handle the pressure of every day.
Yeah.
You know, of being screamed at or.
Oh, yeah.
That really didn't bother me. I had an older brother that got me through that one. I was used to it. So,
what you said you were athletic, so the running, all that stuff was pretty easy for you?
Yeah. Colorado is inadvertently where we ended up. The altitude got me, but other than that little stint there, Texas was pretty simple.
Oh,
it's pretty similar to Florida in that regard. So, yeah, the weather didn't bother me there.
Now, was it? I mean, they still had. Were you an all-female flight at that time?
We were.
How were those interactions?
I
never get much. I know the guys' reactions, but
since I'm talking to a male, I don't know if you'll understand this, but women
go
are
ahead.
mean. Women are mean. Women are very territorial, very, my friend, you can't have her. It was not easy.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't easy. I won't lie. I left having a lot of good friends, but the beginning was not simple at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Cause all the male stories are, it's roostering, right? It's just chest bumping and all that stuff. But, interesting how the females are the same, just in a different, more psychological way.
Yeah. Oh, she thinks she's great, or, she thinks she's too good for us, or all the old. Yeah. Women are not kind. For the most part.
How was your BMT instructor?
He was aggressive.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He was pretty in your face, could make any of the girls cry on just one scream.
Really?
Yeah. He was intense.
Do you have anybody? I mean, how was that first week? A lot of people want to quit. A lot of people are like, why did I do this? I want to get out of here.
We actually lost, I think, 4 right off the bat.
Whoa.
I remember it being quite a few, 3 or 4 roughly. Just couldn't handle the pressure, a lot of crying. It was a mistake. I got to go home.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of hard.
I mean, you know what happens, but when you hear the stories of actually seeing it happen, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. That's, because they take people from all different backgrounds, and some of them aren't ready for that.
No. And honestly, you have to be, I don't know. You have to be even tempered, and you have to be willing to know it's not personal. And I think a lot of people took things personal, and
oh yeah.
instead of realizing it was just a means to an end,
Yeah. It's it's the big game, and maybe if your brothers had helped you out with that advice, maybe that would have been it.
There's lacking.
How'd you do it? Basic? Any ropes or any kind of honor grad or anything?
I did pretty good. I won't lie. I was a little mouthy. I kind of pushed into the road guard status as a way of getting me back.
Oh, yeah. Lucky you.
Yeah. Still haunts me. I do remember having to do the obstacle course. Everybody got to wear tennis shoes, and he forced me to wear combat boots because, once again, I was a little mouthy. I won't say I never deserved it. I deserved it.
But you made it through.
I got through it. Yeah.
That makes you even tougher than those other girls.
Tougher or dumber? I should have just said that.
You were forced to be tougher because you were dumber.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Okay, so you graduate and you're off to your tech school, which is where?
In Denver.
At Lowry.
Lowry,
right?
Yeah.
And never been to Colorado?
Never been.
So what did you say? When did you feel the effects of that altitude?
I felt it immediately. You
you
don't
did?
come, yeah, you don't come from below sea level your entire life to.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I had constant nosebleeds. It was a mess.
oh, geez, wow.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they come up and they say, "Oh, I feel fine," but it like whiplashes on them in 2 or 3 days. But you said you felt it right away.
I felt it immediately. Yeah.
Oh,
It was hard.
sure.
That 1.5 miles a day kind of.
Yeah, that's
Took a little bit to get going.
right. How was your tech school? Was it what you thought it would be?
It was. There was only 3 of us in class. The job was kind of,
Yeah.
it was little. It's not a major career field. So there was only 3 of us. So it was good because there were only 3. So you got a lot of attention.
What was the course consist of? What was the training?
The course is pretty much learn your camera, learn your film. Like I said, we did 35 mil. We've done KB18. We did quite a bit of different stuff, how it works, how to run the Versamat, how to just equipment usage, ratios.
Did you go into like framing shots and stuff like that?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, so it was just technical stuff.
Well, my end of it, I was simply developing other people's shots. So
I gotcha.
Yeah,
Like,
so I didn't get to play with their shot. I just had to show them how bad it was.
oh, here's your thumb. That's not good.
Yeah.
So you did all like black room stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, or dark room. Sorry, not black room.
Yeah.
When did you graduate from tech school? Do you remember?
Tech school wasn't but 3 months. I couldn't tell you a date, honestly. It was short and sweet.
Yeah. And when did they tell you your first assignment?
I remember sitting in a classroom of sorts and them asking what your preference was. And I remember filling out the sheet asking for anything overseas, but I don't remember being told. I just remember being so excited I called my parents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going. Yay.
Yeah, to England. So your first assignment was, you said, to Upper Heyford, England, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's not there anymore. What was it by? I mean,
it's
for
about
the common man, who would know?
It's literally less than 30 minutes from Oxford.
Oh, geez. How beautiful, I guess.
It was very beautiful. It was countryside, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. A lot of back roads. That's where you learn to drive on black ice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Upper Heyford. There's a Lower Heyford. There was a Lower Heyford?
There is a Lower and Upper Heyford, yeah. There's Bister. There's quite a few around there. Can't think of any more.
Were you an A1C when you stepped off the plane there?
No. You're an airman basic.
Well, I didn't know, some people get credits or some people get ranked for this.
I got no credit.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I was lucky to get there.
So you're just a one striper.
I am a nobody.
Oh, you're slick sleeve.
I am stepping into nowhere going, okay, well, now what?
Wow. A mouthy slick sleeve.
Silly girl, yes.
What's your duties?
I meet a sergeant by the name of Mark. I don't remember his last name. He is leaving. He is literally moving out of there. And I get a crash course in how this is going to happen. And I go to the flight line and I see the 111s and I start meeting pilots and I get the rundown of what and where. And it all starts there. The camera mag training and.
So, and for those who are listening, the F-111 there was a lot of variants of it. But they called it the aardvark for its nose, right? And the nose held all that sensor equipment, I believe, in it.
Yeah, in the front. Yeah, it did. I didn't know it was called the aardvark, but yes, all the equipment was in the front.
I don't know if that was a popular name, but it says it on Wikipedia. So,
Sounds good.
But it does have that weird, long, distinct nose, and I think it was used as fighter bomber, recon, a whole bunch of different electronic warfare. So, Do you remember the role of the F-111 that were there at Upper Heyford?
I don't know their particular role. I do know all the sortie missions they flew, the nighttime flights, that's mainly all I dealt with. So what? No, I don't. I dealt with the 55th Fighter Squadron is what I knew.
Okay. Is that who you were assigned to, the 55th Fighter Squadron?
I went to all, but that's the one I remember spending most of my time in.
Okay. So your job was when they were coming back, you were taking the film?
I would get in my truck, I'd drive the flight line, go to the squadron. All the pilots would come off and bring their camera mag. They'd pull their mags off the 111, bring them in. I would then download them, which you spin them up, you open them up, you spin them up and put them in their canisters. And I brought them all back with me. And then I'd spend the rest of the day developing all their missions.
Wow.
And I would have to tell them, look, you missed your sortie here. You didn't hit. You're this far off. This is where it landed. And I'd give them back all their information.
Was there like a formal brief that you had to present to them, or was it just kind of casual one-on-one thing?
Pretty casual. Actually, they flew constantly. So this was a daily thing. It couldn't get too formal for as much as they were doing. So
I didn't know if the colonel would call you in and say, okay, let us know how they did.
No, I would get that from my master sergeant every so often is how's it going? What's it look like?
Yeah. Well, because they're going to get feedback into their performance based on that, right?
Yeah.
So you were an important person to know.
I don't know if I was important. I thought it was interesting. I really loved the job.
So this is 89, right? Or rolling into 90.
Right.
And then 90, of course, that was Hussein's invasion of Kuwait, right?
Yeah.
So what happened to the base? My God, because they flew a ton of stuff out of England.
They did. We had a lot of visitors. We had a lot of RAF guys. We had a lot of visitors. I don't know from that aspect. Like, I don't know, strategic wise, but I do remember having a lot of RAF there.
What were you thinking when that whole thing happened?
I do remember doing a lot of mask training.
Oh yeah, that's right. Huh?
Yeah. I remember the bunkers and hold it and burning eyes and don't breathe. And I do remember doing a lot of it.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Did your duties change at all? Other than getting more busy?
They broadened a little bit because we did a lot of base photography too. We had, any fatalities, anything of question. I sometimes go out with our base photographer, Sergeant Jenkins, and, I would go out with her and watch her do her thing. And
did the squadron deploy out of Upper Heyford, or did they just fly missions out of there?
I don't know if they ever deployed. I want to say no.
Okay.
But again, I wouldn't swear to it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Tell me about your time in England. There had to be some good times. There had to be some stories there, right?
A lot of interesting times. A lot of traveling. I get on the subway and go to London, and just a lot of figuring things out.
Did you go to Europe very often?
You got to remember, I'm an airman at this point.
Right. I know there's no money.
No accessible car, no driving. Right. So it's pretty much whoever went somewhere and they invited, you went.
Sure.
So if there was a concert going on or, something happening, you would go. Yeah.
Who'd you see over there, concert wise?
I saw Bon Jovi at Mildenhall.
Really?
Yeah. They flew in a helicopter. It was like, literally, it looked like Woodstock in Europe version.
Oh, man.
Just all out on the grass everywhere. I went with like a friend of mine, rented a bus, and we loaded like 12 people into that bus.
Really?
Yeah. And just spent the day.
Was it, it wasn't like a USO concert, was it?
No.
Oh, so you had to pay for it. Boom.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't. I had a nice gentleman do that for me, but.
Well, smartly played.
Well, you got to remember, in Europe, I think there's like one guy for every or one woman for every 20 men.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There's not a lot of them over there.
What, there's always a thing for accents over here in the States. Was there the same kind of reverse thing over there for the English or for the Euros for somebody like you?
I was lost.
Oh, yeah.
I was lost. I remember venturing out with a couple of friends and we saw a sign that said barbecue chicken.
Okay.
Didn't think there could be much, too much damage with that. It was an Indian restaurant.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I can chuckle now because I know the difference, but didn't know then. And every drink came out with no ice. So everything was warm.
Oh,
everything
yeah.
was lukewarm, and the chicken was about as hot as you could possibly stand it.
Oh.
The meat was literally just saturated red. And I'm like, I'm starving. I'm scared, but I got to eat.
Yeah, right.
That was the worst mistake of my life.
It wasn't like a curry chicken or anything.
Yes, it was intense.
No.
It was intense.
So
It made for a very long ride back.
So you're sweating for the next 2-3 hours because of that.
Profusely. It was horrible. It was horrible.
What's your proudest moment then in the service?
I would
Sure you
say
did.
my proudest would be I made it through basic training.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it sounds like you did well.
I skipped over a lot of horrible basic training stories for you. So yeah, I think I'm most impressed that I got through it.
It is an accomplishment. It's not as tough when you look back at it because you made it through it.
Yeah.
But at the time, even when you're older, you're like, geez, I don't want to.
I'm a young 21-year-old. Granted, it's not SEAL training.
No.
But for
still.
somebody who was never in that environment, never with that person nose to nose with you, just screaming bloody murder,
Right.
how useless you are. The girls taking their pot shots and their turns at you because nobody's really bonding at this moment.
Yeah.
It got pretty rough there for a little bit.
Yeah,
We
sure.
had some people try to end their lives. We had a lot of issues in that flight.
Really?
Yeah.
Like middle of the night, they wake everyone up and it's like,
Oh,
hey.
yeah. Like in the bathroom with a Bic razor.
Oh, geez. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you, some of them just couldn't handle the pressure at all. I thought I handled it pretty well compared to some, but
Sure. And that's part of the success of getting through some of that training and getting jammed in with a whole bunch of people you don't know from all different types of backgrounds,
absolutely.
all different personalities, and you have the unknown that you're pushing forward into. So it makes it just
And you don't have your own identity. You're literally your name. You're just, either where you're hail from or your last name. You don't have an identity. You're simply one more peon in the group of peons, and trying to establish something was hard.
Yeah. And you have to, and I, my hat's off to it. Everybody, I went through jump school, and those who know, it's like jump school's not that hard. I was like, well, it scared the crap out of me when I was there.
I'm about to say, it sounds pretty intense to me.
It was jumping, but at the same time, you don't know what the next day is.
Yeah.
And you don't know if you're going to make it through the next run or whatever it is. And then gradually you start building on those successes and you come out of that stronger. But there are some that don't. There's some that,
I think you have to go through this little rite of passage to appreciate the service when you do get out.
Absolutely.
I praise it all the time. I think everybody at 18 should have to go in and serve 2 years.
It wouldn't be a bad thing if we had that mandatory service like Israel does.
Maybe there'd be a little less flag burning and stuff today.
I think so. And there'd be a lot more common experience with everybody. But that's why I try to not lose these stories. And that's one of the reasons I do this podcast is to go,
I think that's very important.
We all did the same push up. We all did the same sit up.
Mm-hmm.
We all had the same.
Lack of.
Yeah. Okay. We all had the same hat in our face. Yeah. We all tried. We all sweated. Yeah. I thought it was interesting. The biggest thing, because when you're at the beginning of the day, you're like, I can take this. But when you get tired, that's when you really find out about yourself and others.
Yeah.
And that's
when you climb that last wall and you're like, I can't get over this.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. What stories did I miss? I know you got more.
Yeah, I've got I'm trying to be non-discriminatory here.
No, be discriminatory. Those make for the best stories.
So once you actually, as a female, to me anyway, I can't speak for all, just my experience. Once
Sure.
you get out of the military side of it, so to speak, you're out of the push-ups and the running and the, once you settle into your role and your job, being a woman on that base, and I say woman loosely, I'm like 21, being on a base filled with men, you are overwhelmed.
Really?
You're overwhelmed because there was a lot of hitting on you, a lot of approaching, a lot of
constantly.
A lot of
right?
You have no idea, by the pilots, by
Oh,
co-workers, people on base and the dorms. I mean, it was just 24/7 in your face, and that was hard.
I guess you hear stories about it, but talking with you, I guess I never really had that perspective. So that's interesting.
Well, that was a big deal because, like I said, you're 21. You're not you're not hideous. So you're gonna get attention.
Sure,
and sometimes not all the best attention, I might add. It can get away from you.
Yeah.
I'd like to say we all handled it amazingly well, but I'd be lying. I mean, so I had dorms, with multiple girls, and all of them had issues.
Yeah, sure. I had a friend of mine who was in the Army, and she went over to Brussels, and she only stayed in for one tour as well, because she went over there and she was like, nobody's watching out for me. The Army sucks, and she's like,
I kind of understand that. That's not why I got out, but I can see that happening because once again, you're 21. You're in a different country. It's not like you can run home and cry on mom's shoulder and go back the next day and handle it. You have to take it. And you don't want to go to somebody whining, oh, they're picking on me, but because nobody cares. It's a suck it up and deal with it situation. And
the military now does a lot of things, or at least over the last 20 years, they've tried to transition into this be a mentor kind of thing, the mentality. I don't think you need a mentor. I think you need somebody in your corner.
Well, yeah, because I don't think somebody taking care of your problems for you is going to do anybody any good.
Right.
Because there's going to be another problem. There's going to be another situation. Sure. And if you don't learn how to get through it or handle it or deal with it, it's not doing you any good.
And sometimes you need somebody to just like check you on the shoulder and go, hey, look, keep your head up. You're doing fine. And and sometimes that's all it takes. You're like, thanks.
That's one of the first times I got to appreciate the other women I was assigned with, or I shared a dorm room with. Once you get out of basic, the competition part of it's done.
Oh, really?
You're just existing now.
Yeah,
you're living together. So you can get more friends and get a little more intimate and, you know what I mean? And be more personable with each other. And it got a little easier, but I remember both of us getting through it by doing that very thing. Like, you're okay. You can deal with it. Or
sometimes that's all it takes. Are you still friends with her today?
Sadly, I've not talked to her since. We did talk quite a bit immediately after, but no. We're going back 30 plus years.
Right. Well, and then family comes, and then you drift away. But but you remember those experiences, and they're important. What would you tell me your best story, as ribald as it can be? Tell me the best story you got from the military. Your brother says you got tons of stories.
I'm sitting here blushing and you can't even see. Most of mine are dating stories. They're horrible. I dated a pilot, and it was not a good situation. And unfortunately, he passed away in a mission, a nighttime flight mission. And I had to cover it.
Oh, no, really?
So I'm not mentioning names, of course.
Yeah,
but
sure.
He was also from Florida, Pensacola. He was a first lieutenant.
Yeah.
And of course, we all know that shouldn't happen.
Well,
So it was
but it
very
does.
hush hush, sneaky
Yeah.
sneaky. I'm young, I'm silly. I think it's something.
Yeah.
You know, we're
Yeah.
staying off base in his house. All my stuff is there.
Okay.
And again, he passes away with another first lieutenant. They crash. I have to cover the story.
Oh, jeez.
I happen to be there when they clean out his place, his house.
Yeah.
And I remember one of his buddies going, "Oh my God, look at this." And it's all my stuff. It's all my clothing.
Oh, yeah.
Everything I was keeping there. And he's like, "I didn't know he was seeing anybody." And I'm literally just sitting there like, keep it together.
Yeah.
Quit crying.
Right.
You know, I remember being escorted out because they thought I just couldn't handle the scene. But little did they know we had been dating for like 3 months.
Yeah. Unbelievable. That's traumatic.
And it was pretty traumatic. I remember writing his mother in an anonymous fashion because we shared a lot of Florida stories and a lot of weather. And I remember telling her what a great guy I thought he was. Nobody ever knew.
Oh, no?
Nope. They packed the stuff. They said they'd try to find out who it was, but they never did because nobody ever approached me.
But him and his co-pilot, they crashed, or do you know what happened to?
They both crashed. They were coming from a night flight. They were running a sortie mission of sorts, what I was told. They were coming from night to day, and they were still on, I don't want to call it radar, but they were still, they couldn't see anything. They're simply following their equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
And they crashed into the side of a mountain, or what I hear. It was,
we do so much of that in the military where we make the dangerous kind of routine that you forget that, those guys risk their lives every time they go up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what motivated you to get out?
No, not at all. I met a staff sergeant who worked at the post office, and we started dating. And my sergeant at the time warned me, stay away, stop, focus on your career. And of course, again, young and silly, don't listen.
But that's not just women, that's men, that's everybody at that age. Everybody. That's that age, right? And if you're told not to, it's like, I really can't do it even more.
It's that little tease. Okay, yeah, I can do it anyway.
That's right.
So we date. We end up getting married. He's got 10 years in. He's been around a while. I'm thinking he's stable, got his house, car, second job, the whole 9 yards. I'm pregnant like immediately. I guess on our honeymoon, it was like instantaneous.
Oh, geez.
And then I get the information I'm going to Turkey for my next assignment, and I find out I'm pregnant.
Oh, man.
And they say, we'll give you 30 days. And that meant they will give me 30 days after I have her to be with her, and then I leave for 6 months.
Wow. Was that? So that wasn't your next assignment. That was just going to be
that was just a brief work thing. That wasn't my next assignment. Man. That was, you got to go do this job. Yeah. And I wasn't okay with that. No, I honestly would have stayed, but at the time, my then husband says, I'll stay in, because of course he's got 10 years. He's been in, he's done the time, he's set, and I'll get out and, be the military wife, and, Yeah. And of course that didn't happen. That's a whole nother story, but he ends up incarcerated. He ends up at Lakenheath. He's busted down to rank, bad conduct discharge, the whole 9 yards. And I've already outsourced, and I've put my request in just for him to go to jail. And I'm like, oh my God, I would not have gotten out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I really love the service. I love the people. I love the TDYs. I love the travel. I love my job. Well, I just really enjoyed I love the idea of being a mother too.
And that's great to hear. And that's what a conflict that you have to go through for that. And I suppose you could have, but my God, it's hard enough being alone and a woman and in an environment. And now you had a child and still trying to do a military career.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster time, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, if you look back at all of it, it's never a straight line, right? It's always
No, because people think you're in the service, the life doesn't happen. Life is still going on. You're still married, you still have arguments, you still have, you know what I mean? Life still happens. You just have to do it while performing at the top of your game and showing up. And
and it's much harder in the service to do any of that stuff than it is in the civilian world because
you have to answer for it.
Yep, absolutely. And they are still, and even probably today, even with all the rule changes and regulation changes and trying to make things easier, it's still an unbending force, that you have to comply with. You have to move when they want you to move. You have to go TDY when they want you to TDY. So, I think it's much harder than in civilian life. So,
I think it can be.
All right, let's finish this. Tell me your funniest story.
I do remember, but this is going back to basic.
Okay.
We were still in greens. You're not getting issued BDUs yet.
Oh, you're in the pickle suits.
You're still in the greens. And my clothes were very big because, they're not tailored for you.
No, that's true. That's true.
They're not tailored. And the combat boots were literally a size and a half too big for me. And I had to shove socks in them so I wouldn't come out of them.
Okay.
And I remember lacing around my ankles like 2 and 3 times.
Jeez.
So I could keep them on. I eventually got better ones, but they were massive. I remember flopping around in them quite a bit.
Oh, jeez.
It was pretty sad.
See, it's all that little stuff. All that uniform stuff always gets everybody, right?
Well, being a road guard, I remember road guards out. And you run out there, and I ran to the wrong road.
Oh, no.
I was stopping the other side, and I got yelled at for like 10 minutes. Pay attention.
Parrot, get your ass back in.
Yeah, you don't know where you're going. What are you doing? Yeah. A lot of embarrassing stories. I fell down a flight of stairs and ended up in the...
A flight of stairs? Oh, wait, back up. You got to tell me how that happened.
Well, heel toe against the wall.
Yeah.
Going down the stairs, and we're on the 3rd floor, and I just took an entire... I took a liberty with that one, and it just went straight down a flight of stairs.
In front of everybody else?
In front of everybody. And once they got done laughing and helped me up, they had to take me to the infirmary, of course. I hurt my knee, but I remember... God, so many silly ones. We're out in parade and we're standing at attention. And even when we go to rest, I must have had a wisdom tooth giving me problems.
Yeah.
Because I passed out face down on the parade field.
Really?
I just face planted.
You mean like when you're at attention for a long time and people go down?
We were actually at attention, then they put us at rest, and we're standing there, your legs spread, hands behind you, and you're trying to look your best, and I just face planted.
Oh, jeez.
Fell through. My nose was all scuffed up. They walked me to the dentist. I ended up having my wisdom teeth pulled that night.
Wow.
Yeah, that was painful.
You didn't go into the person in front of you, did you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, good, because I've seen that happen too.
For everybody who's been to San Antonio, the courts. They're gravel. They're quite uncomfortable. Or at least they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not one of my best moments. Other than flopping around in my oversized boots. I was a mess.
I
remember, of course, you don't wear jewelry, you don't wear makeup for women. And then you come time for your pictures. And I remember these girls scrambling around this room, our barracks, trying to find
anything.
Eye pencils and regular pencils and trying to burn them so they could put a little makeup on. And that was a nightmare. Some girl stabbed herself in the eye with a hot pencil trying to put on eyeliner. It was. I'm like, I'm going natural. I can't do that.
Yeah. It is funny because I remember seeing the barracks full of guys and just the goofy stuff they do hygiene wise and all that stuff. But you never hear about the females, you guys are all coming out just perfect, right?
You're still that little girl inside that wants to impress and be the cute one, and you're like scrambling around. We have no hair and we're dressed like men, but yeah, you can look cute with that little bit of makeup. It's going to make the difference. That first dance, they let you go to that dance, and we were just, remember the dance?
Yeah, sure.
One dance. That was so sad. Everybody was too embarrassed to dance with anybody. It was just, we were sitting there like a bad 80s love story.
It's like a John Hughes film. You're
just staring at each other going, you ask. It was ridiculous.
I would have thought for somebody forthcoming like yourself, maybe you would have made the first move over there.
Okay, so I'm going to give in. I'm going to tell you one more story, and this is embarrassing.
All right.
So I was a very loud child.
Okay.
To put it nicely. I didn't have a lot of friends in basic training. Didn't have it. We'll just put that there.
All right.
So I remember, I don't know if you remember basic training since you were in much longer than me, but you really weren't privileged to sit on the furniture. You know what I mean?
Oh, I remember rules like that, of course. Sure.
Yeah, you were sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
So you were just crap. You're on the floor. Once you make it through, you can sit on furniture. So I was so disliked at one point in this adventure of mine that my tech sergeant, he gets me up, he draws a circle on the chalkboard. He has me come up to the chalkboard and stick my nose into it.
Oh, no.
He does. He goes, and then he slowly went around this room my entire flight and made every girl there tell me what they didn't like about me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were really strong-willed then.
And they had a lot to say.
Oh, no.
They had a lot to say. Well, it ended better than it sounded, because at the end of it, it's like, I'm so glad we finally met. I'm glad you made it through. A lot of those. And you signed that little yearbook. I'm so glad we made it through.
I would imagine as humiliating as that was for you, the people or your flight members that saw you make it through that probably had more admiration for you to get through that than anything. They may not have admitted it. But
I want to say to anybody who recognizes my voice and is listening, I'm sorry I was like that. But since you know my brother, I'm going to blame a lot of on him.
Well, you got to stand up to him.
He tormented me.
I can see that. Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. But he also gave you at least a thick enough skin to get through something like that.
Absolutely. I can laugh now. At the time, not so much, but I wouldn't have traded it. There was a lot of growing up in that time. A lot of growing up.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I attribute the service to the man I've become because of some of that humbleness that I had to eat when I was going through it.
Exactly. To this day, I preach to all 4 of my kids. There's a flag flying outside of my house right now, and it's not something you should take for granted.
God bless you. Former Airman First Class Shelley Perez, thank you for taking the time today. It's been a privilege to get your story.
My pleasure.
On behalf of A1C Perez, I'd like to thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please leave a like and a comment and share the podcast with someone else. And, as always, make sure to download the next episode for more service origin stories. So until next time, on your feet, fall out!